live from Manchester, New Hampshire. And we're here on the day before D-Day, anniversary of D-Day, which will be celebrated tomorrow, which is, of course, one of the great and heroic moments in American history that preserved us from the authoritarian encroachment of the Nazis, but more directly saved Europe, liberated Europe, and saved England. One would never know that, given their reaction when President Trump asked for some help in what was dealing with the threat of Iran, which, after all, is a threat to them as much, if not more, than to us. But like they have done really since the war, they virtually just lean on us. Now, I do have to say that wasn't true of England and Australia and Canada. During most of the history of NATO, they have been very effective participants, and to the point of delivering their percentage of troops and fighting hard and fighting right next to us. But there were members of NATO that basically didn't live up to their responsibilities, including their responsibilities to fight. Short memories, huh? I mean, you go to the cemetery at Normandy, and I've been there twice, including on a D-Day, and it brings back two things to me. One is Colin Powell's statement that is brilliant, actually, who says that America has laid down the lives of more young men and women to liberate other people than any nation in the history of the world. And all it's ever asked is a place to bury our dead. And if you go to that cemetery, boy, and you don't feel that, I don't know if you're an American. Second, the Pointe du Hoc speech by President Ronald Reagan, when he went over and went to the place, the Pointe du Hoc cliff, and gave a speech about the boys of Pointe du Hoc. And they had to go up almost a complete climb with no angle to it, under possible fire from the Germans to take out guns above. And in order to neutralize those guns, so they wouldn't be used to slaughter our men coming in on the beach. And they got it done. And the President Reagan made their already legendary achievement even marked more boldly in American history with the great speech that he gave. Is that it? Is that the Pointe du Hoc speech?
The boys of Pointe du Hoc. These are the men who took the cliffs. These are the champions who helped free a continent. And these are the heroes who helped end a war. These are the boys of Pointe du Hoc.
Dawn, 6th of June, 1944.
At dawn on the morning of the 6th of June, 1944.
220.
Not the right video. We don't need to hear him, but
I don't know where we found the auto pen. Do we have the auto pen in our archives? And did he actually give a speech? I never remember him giving a speech. The only speech I remember is that one he gave, was it in Maryland or something, where he had a fort behind him and it was all dark. It looked like he was in Dante's Inferno.
well, he actually
And he
copied.
had red things around him, and he told us how terrible we were and that we were all systemic racists.
That was actually a video of him copying Reagan's Pointe
the Hawk speech.
Gee, somehow it doesn't sound like Reagan.
Yeah, but I don't want to play it. I'm like, wait. we
No,
wanna
please
hear
don't play it.
Yeah.
My favorite Biden speech, though, is when he just kind of walks into the jungle when he visited South America, though, right? Like,
When he turned around and walked off into the woods.
Oh, that was good. When
like just keep going, buddy.
when he was, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
He was there with all the prime ministers and heads of state,
Well, that's another one.
and he saw some group that was getting ready to do some kind of a flyover or something, and he decided he should go there and just talk to them or something. He just walked off,
Yeah.
and Prime Minister Maloney went and pulled him back.
Yeah.
She literally grabbed him by the back of the neck and pulled him back.
like guiding like a
She did
senile
more
old
for him
man.
than the first the first stepmother ever did.
Well, she
You know,
was-
I always
she
found
was
that
flirting with someone.
first big fall when he was walking up the steps. First of all, I was corrected when I said that I had never seen anybody falling down going up the steps. People fall down all the time going down the steps, and a person can be in perfectly good health and just make a mistake and fall down that way. But I was told that people do fall down going up steps. I still haven't seen it except that one time. But the thing that really struck me was nobody came to help him. Like, you're on your own, buddy. I mean, you see what happens with President Trump. The minute there's a problem, it's like, in fact, the Secret Service grabs you so hard. I mean, I've been there and watched it. I was there when they took Trump off, when there was a gun or there was a suspicion and yelling about a gun in Nevada in the 16 campaign. I mean, they tackled him like he was a football player. And I'm sure they left some injuries on the side.
Well,
I mean, they hit you hard and they come and help you. But nobody, no Secret Service agent, no first stepmother, no staffer came and helped the guy come up the steps. And he fell twice, didn't he? He fell one time.
oh, I think it's more than that. Yeah.
Well, oh no, he fell many times after that. I'm talking that one incident.
Oh,
he
like a
fell,
multi-fall. A
and then he got
multi-fall's
up
the
and he
worst.
fell again.
Oh, that's just rolling in it, right?
Yeah.
Oh,
But they just
no.
left him there.
Yeah. But
And I also
fall.
remember near the end of the administration was when he would go to the beach all the time, and they take the pictures of him and the first stepmother, and she'd be like a mile ahead of him, like, come on, jerk off, you make your way, see if you can make
Yep.
it.
Him
Well,
and Chris Christie on the beach. Those are some iconic.
Chris Christie,
Yeah, I remember he had a whole
Have
bunch
you-
of beach
you've ever-
photos
you-
during the
you,
pandemic.
you actually saw him on a beach? That must have been quite a sight.
No, it was during when the beaches were closed. He went to the beach, and it was like a
I
big
don't,
scandal.
I didn't remember that.
Oh yeah, and no, two iconic.
Was he in a bathing suit?
Yes, and it was kind of gross. I'm not trying to body shame, but yeah, not a fan.
He used to be my good friend until he lied about me too.
Yep. Well, he's done a lot.
Really just straight out lied. He said he called me up during the whole situation when I was representing the president on the 2020 fraud, and told me I shouldn't be doing this. I shouldn't do that. He never called me up. He never told me that. I mean, he would spout his mouth off on ABC about it, particularly as it started to go bad for the president. He just moved further and further away. But he never had a conversation with me about it ever.
And not
He
to
was
dog
trying to
on
make
people
himself
from
make
Jersey.
himself into I'm a tough guy. I'm a
Yeah,
tough guy.
he just it's just the epitome of like a trashy Jersey politician.
I don't get it. But
Yeah.
the John Bolton situation was the one we were finishing up with on the Rudy Giuliani show on Lindell TV. And let me just make the point that not every crime should result in incarceration, and not every crime should be prosecuted. We have something called prosecutorial discretion, because the prosecutor exercises wisdom as to whether or not the level of punishment is greater than the wrongdoing. Because if you apply the law like automatically, you get a tremendous amount of injustice. Now, I exercise that prosecutorial discretion for a number of years. And I remember on February 1st, 1989, waking up for the first time in 8 years and not having that responsibility. Not having, and after I had resigned as a U.S. attorney, I had been in the Justice Department before that. And I was so relieved. I missed my job because I love being U.S. attorney. But my first reaction when I woke up that morning is, thank God I don't have to decide somebody's life and death or incarceration or taking away their liberty. And if you don't have that feeling, you're not a good prosecutor. If you have too much of that feeling, you're a bad prosecutor. Like everything else, the Greek philosophers and moralists had it right. It's all about the golden mean, right? Prosecutor being too harsh means he's going to violate rights and he's going to treat people in a very unfair way. Prosecutor being too easy means he's going to have a lot of crime that goes on in his community that shouldn't. You need a balance of both. In Bolton's case, this is more than usual. You can't say that this hasn't happened before, but that doesn't make it right. David Petraeus shared defense information with his biographer. He got a 2-year probation and a $100,000 fine for that under Section 793, which is exactly the one that Bolton is being prosecuted under. CIA Director John Deutsch had classified documents on his home computer, and he was going to plead guilty to a misdemeanor. The Justice Department worked that out with him, and Bill Clinton pardoned him. Sandy Berger was much more egregious. He hid documents from the National Archives in his socks. He's basically, in addition to them being classified, he stole them. And he paid a $50,000 fine and 2 years of probation. Joe Biden had classified documents in an area where for 10 months, a person being paid by Red China passed by there almost every day. The chances that Red China got some of that information, in my estimation, are pretty damn good, and nobody even touched Joe Biden. Well, the guy that passed by the way, was his son, who got about $20 million from Red China. And certainly there is one text in the hard drive that I revealed that is remarkably close to a paraphrase of a classified document that he sent to his Chinese handler. Of course, you don't know that because that was all covered up. So I'm pretty darn angry at Bolton, personally, because of his not telling the truth about me. And I'm pretty angry about the way I believe he has mischaracterized an awful lot, at least that I know of, with regard to the president, and directly lie. It's another thing to put a 77-year-old man in jail who has also done good things. That has to be balanced. I fail to understand, and you're just not going to. I'm not going to say they're cheating in California. I don't know that, and every time I allege cheating, I had information. I can go back and I can point you to that information today. Not that the New York Times or anybody else would care, except decent people, but. There is absolutely no reason in the world that it should take this long to count these ballots. Delay in counting ballots does not make the count better. Delay creates an opportunity for mischief among a group of people who are disproportionately dishonest. Now, who are they? American politicians. If it is correct that the amount of corruption in California, at least in dollar amounts, would even make Minneapolis look like a small-time player. If there are all sorts of people inhabiting California Democrat politics, because that's the dominant politics there, that are crooks, then why wouldn't they cheat in elections? The ridiculous attitude of the people who cover this up, like particularly the New York Times, that, well, there's no evidence of cheating in American elections. When people are going to jail for election fraud all the time, the Times covers it up. This is like putting red meat in front of rabid dogs and expecting they're not going to eat it. France has 15 to 20 million more people than California. I assume their turnout rate is similar, probably higher. Turnout rate in this election was below 40%. So it isn't as if all 38 million Californians showed up. First of all, they had to be Democrats, and second, less than half of those Democrats showed up. In fact, pretty close to a third only showed up to vote. So it's not an impossible number of votes to deal with. France deals with a lot more votes and gets the count done by the next morning. And that's because they learned the lesson of paper ballots a long time ago when they had a scandal with paper ballots, and they put them under strict control. They're used only when absolutely necessary, when somebody is really sick and there's evidence of that, or somebody is really traveling and there's evidence of it and the travel is necessary. They limit as much as possible the absentee ballots rather than send a ballot to everybody in the state. Do you know how many ballots are hanging around because of that? So it could be the convoluted system they have set up. But the convoluted system invites cheating. Whether they are or not, you need a lot more proof than that. But for a cynical observer to say that, boy, oh boy, that in the mayoral election, that woman whose first name I can't pronounce really caught up tremendously just in one group of ballots.
Yeah, and they'll try to explain that away in different ways. But one common thread, though, is sending a ballot to everyone, regardless of request, is...
It's almost as if they are preferring absentee voting.
Well, it creates an environment of cheating. It creates...
I think more people vote by absentee ballot in California than on election day.
Well,
I think so.
Do they?
I don't know in this election if it's true, but in the last election they did. I think this election may be true also.
And like we were saying earlier, like my fraternity house, for example, people are in and out of there all the time, and the mailroom was on the first floor, and that's 40 ballots right there. And they're gone for the vacation times, often when they get sent out, and so boom. And if those people aren't going to cast another ballot,
well, someone was on about 4 or 5 days ago. I wish I had made a note of it, who it was, but it was a fairly experienced California politician. And they asked about, cheating in elections in Los Angeles. He said, you mean walking around money? You know what walking around money is? Yeah. It's really amazing because on both coasts, that's very common in New York, Philadelphia. Walking around money is you go pay somebody. Back then, it could be as little as $100, and they vote 4 or 5 times that day. You give them identities of people who are in the registration book that had never been removed. This is why the Democrats resist purging the ballots. The first time I ran for mayor, a lot of people came to me and said that there was a great deal of cheating and enough to affect the election. I was not going to challenge the election. And I also thought, knowing how crooked the New York courts are, as a Republican, I'd have no chance. The first Black candidate elected mayor of New York, and he's a Democrat, and the courts are all Democrat. And the one thing for sure, whether the judges are crooked in other cases or not, and I was taught this in law school, you're just not going to win an election case in the four boroughs against a Democrat. That's the one thing that they have to give away to the county leader, who, after all, is who really puts the judges there. A lot of them give away a lot more than that, their entire soul. But
So
you're
it's
just
a
not going to
machine.
win an
It's a
election.
machine. It's
What?
a machine.
Oh, yeah. So, I mean, you're stuck. But I can they used to put people in buses, right? Pay them money, stick them in buses, and give them names for different precincts. So they keep a dead guy on the ballot in the book. They'd keep a person who moved to California in the book. They'd keep a person who moved to New Jersey in the book. And maybe a third of the book is
Like hospitalized, people who
Yeah,
are shut in.
or they'll even take a risk on people that haven't voted for 10 years.
Exactly.
And the county and the district leaders keep track.
And that's why it's
That's
automatic.
part of what a district leader in a Democrat crooked city does.
And it's automatic registration. That's what everyone wants, right? It was automatic registration. It's like, oh, that's just so that they can.
So the
have
first
more
time I ran,
potential.
it was estimated that there were about 40 or 50 or ballots stolen that way. But I couldn't. I mean, I could have proved some of it. I'm not sure I could have proved all of it, but I would have lost anyway,
Well, and
whether I
that's the
proved it or not.
nature- And that's the nature
So
of the offense as well.
Second
right?
time I hired two people. I raised $1 million and I hired two people to set up our own voter integrity program. One of them is now the president of the New York Yankees, Randy Levine, and another went on to Congress, John Sweeney.
Yes.
And the two of them did it for me. And on the morning of or when I first went into the campaign headquarters after going around to different polling places on election morning, I met with John and Randy, and I said, probably even later in the day, I said, "Did we get all the sheeting?" He said, well, "Enough so that they won't be able to take it from you this time." I said, "Well, did you get it all?" I said, "No, we didn't get it all. We couldn't cover every single, and we have a couple of buses that got through." But he said, it's an amazing sight because they had gone on site. He said you could see the bus pull up, and then in front of the polling place, there were firefighters and correction officers, and our poll watcher inside was probably a firefighter or a correction officer, because there were people that were afraid to be poll watchers in dangerous areas that are all Democrat. My opponent won some districts 100%.
Well, and I don't know if you.
But he said you
experienced-
would see the bus turn around. The bus would pull up. It would see the firefighters who were accused of intimidating, and then the bus turned around. And he said then we had somebody following the bus, and the bus would go to another place and turn around. Second thing, we discovered afterwards that somebody who we never figured out who it was had given out numerous leaflets in Hispanic neighborhoods saying to be very careful on election day because the immigration service was going to be there checking green cards. So afterwards, the Clinton Justice Department put us under investigation for violating civil rights, which of course Janet Reno threw out immediately when she focused on the fact that, well, what civil rights are you violating?
Exactly.
When that was an era in which we used to think it was illegal for a non-citizen to vote. So if anything, it was just reinforcing, even though it was a somewhat surreptitious way to do it or sneaky way to do it, it just ended up in a legal result. The person that would be deterred from going is a person that isn't a citizen
Exactly.
or that's illegal.
And I don't know, I don't know if you had experience with this in New York, but you mentioned the poll watchers, and there are so many situations in which the poll watchers are de facto excluded from the equation, right? We get this legislation that legally requires them to be present. And then in many cities, and where I'm from, Michigan, they put paper up on the walls, prevented our poll watchers from going in.
Well,
and so what even is it worth if they're going to be able to do that anyway? And so what proof can you develop if you're prevented from any part of observation?
Well, when you have a one-party city, the chances of corruption are, 10 times what they would normally be, because one party can act as a check and balance on the other. So the president was pretty clear that he believes that they are, and I'm quoting him from Truth Social, They're trying to steal the governor of California primary and the mayor of Los Angeles primary away from two great Republican candidates. Here we go with a very late and massive number of mail-in ballots. So Ted, you did quite a bit of work on this last night. You stayed up very late going over those first group of numbers that came in.
We just got
That I have to say, I'm not saying they're wrong. I'm just saying they raise suspicions because they're so far off from the distribution in the mayor's race
right.
that happened on election day.
That's right, Mayor. And look, I'm getting the new numbers that they just dropped some new numbers, and it is not great, of course, for Pratt. So we
Surprise.
calculated, we did some numbers crunching. The mayor and I, we stayed up late.
Well, remember what you were told by an expert in California. You were told that the distribution you got last night, right,
Yes.
would pretty much be the distribution of the remaining ballots that come in because they're citywide.
Yeah.
So you did a calculation. You did a calculation that was really, I think, really smart.
Yeah,
What you did was you took that as being the truth. How do we know, right?
Yeah.
That the rest of the ballots are going to follow pretty much the pattern of this first group of absentee ballots.
Yep.
And you determined what that would mean when all the ballots are in.
Yep.
And it would reverse the order. It would reverse the order, and it would take Pratt from number 2 to number 3.
Yes.
Even though he went into it with a very, very substantial lead over Raman.
Yeah.
And Raman is the one who's to the left of the mayor who can't fill fire hydrants.
But we have to remember too. So I'll just give the explanation that I've been hearing from other areas of the media, and that's that Democrats held in this election specifically their ballots a little longer than they typically did.
I wonder why.
Well, I think it was because they were like wavering strategically.
Held them. What does that mean? Held them. They didn't mail them in until later.
Until later, because they were determining what to do strategically for the.
Well, what would be the difference if they mailed them in originally or late?
Well,
they don't get counted until after.
They didn't know with Tom Steyer or not, like whether he was going to, like whether or not.
Oh, I see.
It was going to be.
They wanted to see who to vote for,
and they didn't know if they could strategically like elbow out a Republican and have 2 Democrats in there. Well, and this honestly, I don't know if they don't take this as gospel. That's just what people are using as an explanation as to why
it could be true.
Coming in.
It could be true. I mean, what they hurt themselves by having this endless period to count votes, send in votes. They make ballot harvesting legal where it's illegal in half the states. It's legal in California.
And like, look at how many votes Karen Bass has gotten. If you can burn down the city and get that many votes, you almost get what you deserve at that point. It's
well,
like
there were people today, Republicans, who say it is not a question of cheating. You don't have to cheat in LA because they're brainwashed. They're going to vote reflexively. They're going to vote reflexively Democrat if you have something ridiculous on the ballot, like somebody who had a Nazi tattoo. Like if you had somebody who had a Nazi tattoo, they vote for him anyway. They'd win. Or a guy who slapped around his girlfriend, or that'd be okay.
That's almost like
if you're a Democrat. If you're a Republican and 3 women lie about you, they're telling the truth.
Right.
Because women always tell the truth.
All women.
Women always tell the truth about Republicans. But women who say the same thing about Democrats are always lying, like the one who said that Biden sexually assaulted her. Right. She was lying. That woman was lying.
So this is breaking news, Mayor. Just about a half hour ago, another drop.
Oh, boy.
We have on the screen the numbers on this latest drop. Let's see if they follow the percentages you and I came up with. And actually, Pratt is doing worse than the number we came up with them, right? We gave them about 20. Let me look
no. But Raman has a much bigger margin over him. She had about 8,000 margin over him on the first distribution.
So this is just
that's
drop.
now grown to 13,000.
This is just the latest drop.
So what are the totals?
So we'll bring up the totals. Right. Well, I'm going to bring it up.
In fact, I'll tell you how this has changed because I remember last night. In this one, Raman has more votes than Bass. Bass was still the leader in last night, and Raman was picked up 8,000 votes on Pratt in the first round. Now she's picked up 13,000, and she's even picked up more votes. This is a woman who couldn't break 20%. Now she's at 38, 39 if you round it off.
No, that's just the latest drop. So
Yes,
we're about to get the totals up. So I think
She has cut the lead now. This will be the next thing you'll see. I'm trying to find a really.
And he's probably cut it to about 20,000.
Yep, that's right, Mayor. It's about
I remember numbers.
yeah, and we had So she's actually about meeting expectations. Let's share this instead.
Pratt's finished.
People, I don't want to cut it.
Pratt's finished. Whether it's a operation or they held votes back or they created votes, they're going to wipe them out.
Yep. So we're trying to. I apologize.
I have a feeling just from what is possible that they're not going to do the same thing in the gubernatorial race. They're going to leave it alone, and I think Steve is going to end up being number 2.
Right.
First of all, it's harder to do statewide because there are a lot more Republicans statewide.
So this is
And remember, in the case of Steve, he's number 1. And you got to drop him to number 3. Here, all you have to do is drop Pratt from 2 to 3, although he had a very healthy margin over Ramit, which
and
has now disappeared.
let's not forget like issues too, right? Like Californians have been living under incredible pain with regard to overtaxation. They can't get solar. They love solar panels, right? But like they make it a nightmare to put them on your house because you got to get 100 permits. They haven't rebuilt any of the Palisades. Like 2 lots have foundations on them. The only people building are those that already had permits before the fire. So, and then anyone who wants to build now basically can't, right?
Well, I mean, they might take me off the air for saying this, but any party that can make up 700,000 votes, like they did in Pennsylvania, after the election's over, they can do anything. Not only every single place where they stopped counting in 2020, every single place that they stopped counting, Trump was ahead. Every single place that they stopped counting, Biden won. Seem a little odd to you?
Careful.
Seem a little odd.
The minister of truth is going to call and
oh wow, the
not
New
to
York
say
Times,
something like
yeah, or Fox TV.
yeah. Anyway, so a lot of people pulling for Pratt out there, and
he's a hell of a candidate.
yeah, well, a fed up.
I mean, it is not impossible that if he ends up in the number 2 position, he could win the damn thing.
Yeah,
You know,
he's speaking good truth, and
people say
savvy.
that
He's a
Bass
savvy
was
guy.
very frightened of the possibility of debating him.
Well, because she screwed up so bad, and he is just calling her out nonstop.
But that's so egregious that it's ridiculous what she did by going off to Ghana and forgetting to fill the fire hydrants. I mean, having been a mayor, it's very hard for me to understand how you would fail to fill all the fire hydrants.
And if I'm not mistaken, I think that many of them are not ready for another summer. Like, I don't think a lot of the issues have not been addressed because of like frogs or something.
So now what percentage of the vote are they up to, Ted? How long do we have to endure this?
71% now.
That's all? God, the election's been over for an eternity at 71%.
India will count 1 billion votes in like.
But are they still getting votes in, Ted?
Yes.
But the vote has to be postmarked before midnight of election day.
Yes.
I thought.
Well, the Supreme Court. No, I don't think the Supreme Court has ruled on that. You have to vote. There were places that allowed you to vote after the election, or that wanted to.
Yeah, I see that.
I think the Supreme Court hasn't ruled on this. Having it in before or having it in by midnight. It has to be. I think it has to be in California. It has to be postmarked
Yeah, I'm trying to
on or before Election Day.
Um,
So what you're saying is that a lot of people waited, if there's a legitimate explanation. A lot of people waited to the day before Election Day, or maybe even Election Day, to drop it in the mail.
Yeah, and that way they can gauge.
And that way they would know exactly who the candidates were. But I mean, that was pretty much settled 3 weeks before the election.
With regard to which race are you
The
talking?
mayor's race.
Yeah,
who the
but
candidates were.
See, a lot of these people have to vote in the gubernatorial election as well. So they have to hold their ballot. I don't think there's not two separate ballots for mayor and governor. I think it's on the same one, right? So if you're thinking strategically for the gubernatorial race,
Well, they were all on the ballot. I mean, they didn't make any change in the ballot in the last 2 to 3 weeks.
I know, and I'm just trying to figure out
I know.
the
I know.
angle, but that's,
I mean, we have to give them the benefit of the doubt.
oh well, there's a lot of pitchmen out on the networks like telling you why these votes are Democrats. So, you know,
Well, there are other things going on, so we'll take a short break and we'll be right back.
oh yeah.
U.S. Army Major Scott Smiley paid a high price serving our nation. Scott was leading his platoon in Iraq when a blast sent shrapnel through his eyes, leaving him blind and temporarily paralyzed. Scott would become the first blind active duty military officer before medically retiring years later. Thanks to friends like you, the Tunnel to Towers Foundation gave Scott and his family a mortgage-free, specially adapted smart home. Show your support for America's heroes now. Donate $11 a month to Tunnel to Towers at t2t.org.
Are you ready for some action?
I'm ready for action.
Get the Elite TV plan only through the portal. 218 channels, and it's only $69.95 a month,
Wow.
including your free portal.
That's cheaper than everyone else.
Your favorite sports, movies, news,
Wow.
even daytime dramas. We're talking about ESPN, OAN, Newsmax, channels you can't get anymore in certain areas.
Compared to the competition, this is a way better deal.
Endless selection. Not to mention all the free music channels. There's over 700 premium and classic movies all ready to go.
Wow.
Plus, they got catch-up TV that allows you to go back and watch what you've missed or want to watch again. Cut your cable in half and get twice as much for free.
Way more channels for half the cost.
After the first year, the subscription then drops to $57.95 monthly,
Wow.
where you change or upgrade anytime. Go to QUXNow.com and get yours today. Use promo code RUDY. Act fast. These deals are selling out.
Here we are, pretty much at the beginning of the process here at this pristine, I call it a laboratory. It's not like a factory, it's like a hospital. This is the beginning of the process for roasting. Deep grain, very good quality. Most people don't use this quality. We deal with small farmers because they like to know who we're dealing with. They give us the highest quality, all organic, non-GMO. You should know all Arabica beans, no Robusto, all Arabica. They're going to go into the roaster, and it'll get roasted for about 20 minutes or so. Oh my goodness, look at these. My goodness. You're going to want to specially order these. This is what goes into Rudy's coffee. Well, tomorrow, as I said, is D-Day. And coming up, oh my goodness, it's going to be a wonderful period of time for those of us who love America. You can count out about a third of Democrats from that, maybe more. I'll give you those statistics later in the polling that was done. Democrats, to a very large extent, something like 5-1 in comparison to Republicans, aren't proud to be Americans. So I don't know if they're going to have a particularly joyous time during this period, including the 4th of July. But in any event, stickermule.com/Rudy will allow you will set up for you your own business right online. It takes care of all of the things that probably would confuse you about advertising and getting the product to the customer. And what you will be selling, you should go look at it, are patriotic items and patriotic insignias, and things like this flag right here, or what I have in back of me right there, and many, many other things, books, and which help to reestablish our massive sense of patriotism that we need to stay together as a nation and to be strong. So I would go to stickamule.com/Rudy, and I'd get on board. You're going to make some money and you're going to do some good. And depending on how enterprising you are, you can make a lot of money. So Iran, as we go into this weekend, the United States, sounds like a couple of days ago, submitted a memorandum with the points that would be necessary for a I don't know if it's a ceasefire or peace, and I don't know exactly what the points are there. I do know that Iran's response on their authorized media is that they have the memorandum from the United States, that they are studying it, that unlike what the president has said, it is not true that they are in communication with us. They haven't talked to us since they delivered the message about 3 days ago that there'll be no agreement until and unless Israel stops attacking in Lebanon or stops attacking Hezbollah. That was the last communication they had with us, they say. The president said that is not true at all, that there have been communications every single day, and that there's been progress toward an agreement, but we're not there yet. I don't see any reason why the president would do anything else but tell the truth about it. And I don't see any reason why Iran would tell the truth about it. They don't tell the truth about anything else. And they're trying to appear very tough when in fact they are completely falling apart. But whatever, I mean, the real point is whether they communicated with us or they didn't communicate with us, what's going to happen? Well, one of the sticking points now comes because of Hezbollah. On yesterday, the leader of Hezbollah, Naim Qassem, the one who's left, I mean, two of them have been taken out in the last probably a month. Naim Qassem made a speech on Thursday, and he demanded a full Israeli withdrawal from Lebanon before Hezbollah would cease its attacks, and said that Tehran was negotiating its own separate thing. But Tehran then intervened and said that they support Hezbollah and that they are not going to reach any agreement with us until Israel stops attacking Hezbollah. Well, Israel's not going to stop attacking Hezbollah if Hezbollah doesn't stop attacking them. And the real issue is who should withdraw from southern Lebanon. Hezbollah says they're not going to reach any agreement until Israel withdraws from southern Lebanon. Israel says they're not going to end this until Hezbollah is eliminated from southern Lebanon and stops killing their people regularly, as they've been doing for 20 years, and are sworn to destroy the Jewish people. It seems to me that Israel has the better of that argument, and I don't see Israel stopping until they stop, until they eliminate all of them, which is what I would do if I were protecting my people. I have a group to the north of me that is dedicated life and death to destroying all of my people. I'm going to leave them there, like hell I am. So whatever the conversations with the president and Netanyahu, which again, you got to be really careful about that, because they have put out somewhat exaggerated versions of conversations about disagreements, when in fact the next day they went ahead with joint operations of a massive nature against Iran. And although it seems like the press doesn't quite factor that into this analysis, you can be sure that Iran does. In fact, they've even said that. Israel, through its defense minister, has said that it retains the freedom of action against Hezbollah until the militant group leaves southern Lebanon, and that at a minimum, and of course stops attacking them, which makes all the sense in the world, right? Israel's not going to allow you to attack them and not respond because Israel is sensible. So it's hard for me to see how this gets settled. Iran wants an interim agreement. Iran wants an interim agreement in which they agree to nothing. It'll all be open for negotiation. Maybe they'll agree to some kind of opening of Hormuz. Maybe. They certainly won't agree to anything on nuclear weapons, which is mainly what this is all about. And they want money unfrozen, even though they're not going to reach any agreement on any substantive issue. I mean, the president can't accept that. He can't accept it in good conscience, and he can't accept it politically. It's crazy. Iran claims that it shot at one of our ships and kind of frightened it off this morning, I guess, or late last night. And the Defense Department says they're absolutely out of their minds. They didn't shoot at anybody. Or if they did, it wasn't an American ship. They are still able to get shadow tankers through. And from March 1st until May 19th, the Kepler company, which is probably the most accurate with regard to maritime data, says that about 895 ships have crossed between March 1 and May 19. Now, remember, many of them don't fall within our blockade because they're coming from Kuwait, or they're coming from the Emirates, or they're coming from even Saudi Arabia, or it would have to be an Iranian ship that's not allowed to go through. But 895 ships have gone through between March 1st and March 19th. And they're best estimated at about 358 to 360 were shadow, really Iranian tankers, probably headed to China or to India. Now that's more than we estimated, not a lot more. But it's still pathetic in terms of trying to maintain an economy. You're not going to maintain an economy at 358 ships over March, April, over 2.5 months, when you were talking about 100 a day. The president has made a very, very strict warning to Iran, which is if they kill an American military member, basically all bets are off, and we're just going to go ahead and take out everything we can take out. With that, well, this was after they attacked in Kuwait, which was a pretty bold move. And now the analysis is the idea of that, and they did that about 3 or 4 days ago. Iran sent missiles and drones toward the area around the American base in Kuwait, and they killed a Kuwaiti citizen and injured a lot of them. They did not kill any American military members, nor did they injure any American military members. But they could have, right? And the president has said, if you do that, basically, it can be all-out war. So it seems to me they're playing with fire. I mean, you shoot in that direction. I mean, they are hopelessly inaccurate, thank God. But every once in a while, due to bad luck, I guess, one gets through. I mean, that was probably 80 to 90% of what they sent toward Kuwait was rejected, knocked down, went off course, but it still killed somebody. Victor Davis Hanson has, as usual, a brilliant, very, very short, but very brilliant and concise analysis of what he says are the two courses of action that the president has. And one is an agreement in which the regime of terror basically meets our conditions. The emphasis being on giving up the plutonium, letting us be sure that we've got it, all of it, and making sure and that they don't become nuclear and don't resume what they were doing, so that a mechanism is put in place, run not by the UN or some group that's going to cave into them, but by us. And then the second is the only real safe one, because no matter what we do, there's no doubt this regime of terror will try to rebuild. It might take them a while, but they'll try to rebuild, and they'll try to take advantage of us if we have another disloyal, completely brainless president like we had for 4 years. Or we just have Obama there, who gave him massive amounts of cash to pass on to terrorists that ended up killing Americans. So he says it's a riskier course. Short term, it's a much safer course. Well, I'm really adding that long term. And that would be to inflict enough damage on the Iranian theocracy to end the war and to end them. I mean, the only answer to having a safe world is the end of a horror regime for 47 years that has declared war against the United States, has committed acts of war against the United States, has humiliated us, but even worse than that, have killed an awful lot of our young people and have gotten away with it. I don't know why. I don't know how. And we got them against the ropes now. There's only one thing to do, to knock them out of the ring. We shouldn't have to deal with them. The war powers vote that was done in the Senate, which is meaningless, really, because basically what it does is it says the president can't continue the war. He's just going to have to stop and let the regime of terror win. And every Democrat apparently agreed to that, I guess, except except Fetterman. But Tom Barrett of Michigan, Warren Davidson of Ohio, Brian Fitzpatrick, this was the House, I'm sorry, Brian Fitzpatrick of Pennsylvania, so it couldn't have involved Fetterman, and Thomas Massey, of course, of Kentucky, voted with 211 Democrats to help limit or stop the president, and voted in essence in favor of the Islamic regime of terror. 6 other Republicans were absent. Dusty Johnson, Tom Keene Jr., which of course he's been absent for 3 months, and that's its own issue. Morgan Luttrell of Texas, Nancy Mace, and Ralph Norman of South Carolina, and Andy Ogles of Tennessee. They didn't vote. And the White House, of course, like all its predecessors, argues that the War Powers Act is completely unconstitutional. But in any event, it only passed the House. It hasn't passed the Senate. If it does pass the Senate, it has to withstand a presidential veto, and it never will. So this is all posturing by a group of people who are afraid of their own reelection or are just bitter, I don't know what, like Massey. Rashida Tlaib had her own War Powers resolution, which basically would turn the United States over to the regime of terror. And I have to tell you that this is the only encouraging thing I've seen from Democrats in a long, long time. 117 Democrats voted against Tlaib's resolution, and only 91 voted in favor of it. And it was defeated 92 to 324. Called the Lebanon War Powers Resolution. And it would, and the president would have 7 days to remove all armed forces from Lebanon. Well, since we don't have any armed forces in Lebanon, I don't know what. I mean, in addition to the fact that they're traitors and they are in love with Islamic terrorists, they're stupid. I mean, if anybody thinks that AOC really has a brain, I mean, I think she was a pretty good.
Well, are we sure? Are we sure? I mean, am I missing something? Do we have something going on in Lebanon? I don't think so. I mean, we're always kind of doing something somewhere.
Representative Max Miller of Ohio accused Tlaib of supporting Hezbollah and suggested she enjoys the company of terrorists. Hezbollah is a terrorist organization, and its members are butchers that you like to hang out with to a certain extent. That incited some of the Democrats. They still didn't vote for her. And she said it was an attack on her character, and it was stricken from the record. I don't know why it was stricken. It's true. We may have some troops in Lebanon just in general before this.
That's what I mean. Yeah.
Yeah, but only a small number.
Yeah, like
I'm not even sure we do. I know we do in Syria.
Maybe
but
protecting our people at our
I think
embassy.
I heard some Republican respond saying this is really stupid because we don't have any troops in Lebanon.
Yeah.
We certainly don't have any. We
essentially.
certainly aren't in any way involved. The operation in Lebanon, which is why this whole thing about it being involved in the ceasefire is a big fiction, it was independent. It's between Israel and Hezbollah.
That's my impression.
Yeah.
And when you went through the absentee list or the absent list during the vote, you mentioned Tom Keene, and I think it's interesting. So yes, he was absent from that vote, but he's actually been missing.
Yeah, for 3 months.
5th. Yeah. So what? So I think
Well,
is it fair to put him in the same bucket?
No,
or
it
like
isn't.
Maybe...
It isn't. Now, I like Tom a lot, and I'm sure he would have voted the other way if he were there. But I do think he's created a problem for himself by not explaining what his illness is. He said he did explain after 2 months of saying nothing that he had an illness and he's coming through it. And the speaker yesterday said that he spoke to Tom, and Tom is going to explain it.
Well, I hope so.
I think he's going to win re-election. Despite
Well, of course.
I think he's going to win the primary.
He won his primary unopposed.
Was he unopposed?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, even if he wasn't. But anyway, what do we got?
Well, now we have Plattner. His ex-girlfriend, who is a woman, but apparently not one that the Democrats think is telling the truth. I thought all women told the truth, Ted. Right. But not Lindsay Fifield, who claims that she dated Plattner from 2013 to 2015, and recorded in her diary before way back in 2016 or 2017. This is long before Plattner was a candidate for anything. And I can't imagine that she ever thought that this gorilla animal would have been a candidate for anything because he looked like a complete nut job. She recorded in her diary, among other things, that it was the most toxic, literally abusive man on earth, that he was the most toxic, literally abusive man on earth. She has recited any number of times in which he abused her. He would frequently manhandle her around the shoulders, sometimes with enough force to leave marks. Another time he forced her out of a cab. She didn't want to leave, pulling her by the wrist. He'd make violent comments about people. He would relate boasts about raping people.
Wow.
Let's see what else here. Now, Plattner's response is that she's a lifelong GOP operative who's dedicated her career to electing Republicans. She says, if he was running as a Republican, I'd be doing the exact same thing. And of course, she does have these prior consistent statements that were written long before he was a candidate, or she could possibly imagine that this extremely disturbed individual would be a candidate for public office or would ever be considered a candidate for public office, because when she knew him, he had the Totenkopf tattoo in full display on his chest. Now, the Totenkopf is a tattoo that was used by Hitler's SS. The SS were the terrorist wing of the German army, the ones who ran the concentration camps, who he admired. The liar, Plattner, says he didn't realize what it was. She said he used to brag about it, show it to her, explain to her what it was, knew exactly what it was.
And there are more women.
So like he lied originally about the sexting at least a dozen women, including, up until recently, even though he was married, and he obviously is lying about this also. The New York Times wrote a completely dishonest article. Again, she's not even though the New York Times used to say that all women have to be are telling the truth when they're talking about sexual abuse by men. That obviously does not apply to any woman who is a Republican talking about a Democrat, because in fact, they all uniformly lie. There hasn't been one yet who told the truth in a disputed situation. And you can look at this guy and you can tell that he abuses. I can look at him and I can tell you he abuses women. Look at that stupid expression on his face. I mean, he looks like a gorilla.
Yeah.
And by the way, he fought for the military, but he has texted, and in his 3,000 or 30,000, 30,000 posts, any number of them are devoted to his hatred of the military, the fact that he wanted them to die. His own statement that he went off to be in the military, not because he was a patriotic American, because he wanted to kill people. This is a guy who likes killing people. Can you believe this? Can you believe that we're really, that this guy, that thing there is running for the United States Senate?
And is yes, running, actually running.
He has said that he thought it was merely a terrifying skull and crossbones. He told that to Politico in a statement in October, that he absolutely would not have gone through life having this on my chest. Plattner, however, knew exactly what the ink represented because he described it in great detail to his ex-girlfriend, Lindsay Fifield.
And he didn't just...
He would call it my Totenkopf.
He's not just running.
I would never have
edged
known
out a
what that
popular-
was unless he told me, she said.
Oh, yeah.
Now, there are two other women who have made allegations to the New York Times about his abuse, and they don't give you any of the details of that. Right, Ted?
Right.
Ooh, stay tuned.
They're covering up.
Stay
They're covering
tuned.
up for a Nazi abuser of females.
That's right.
The woke, supposedly a defender of women rights rag, the New York Times, is covering up for obviously what appears to be a serial woman abuser and a serial sexter.
Yes.
And a guy who spent a good deal of his life wearing a Nazi tattoo.
Right.
And if he didn't know what it was, then he's too damn stupid to be in the Senate. If he had that thing on there for 12 or 14 years and he didn't know what it was, then maybe he needs remedial education of some kind. He certainly doesn't belong
it's a
in the
sign
United
of
States
maturity
Senate.
and like general reasoning.
They say that everybody goes through difficulties and whatever. That is absolutely true. And on a human level, I can be sympathetic with that. But if you do, it should be disqualifying for you to be in a position where you can affect in a very material way the safety and protection of other people. Because you should err on the side of caution there, right? Look at the terrible mistakes we made. We elected an auto pen, brainless president. It really is unfair to ask him to take a test to determine whether he has half a brain when he was walking around. And you know that in 2019 and 2018, his son, in the hard drive that they love to avoid, said that his father was suffering from serious dementia to his psychiatrist. That was available, except it was covered up by the New York Times before the election of 2020. Here's the violent rape joking woman hater. And the women, apparently all the other two women also agreed that he's a woman hater and he's out of his mind. But we don't know the details of it because the New York Times is covering it up like they covered up the hard drive for Biden. I don't know. I guess these things aren't criminal, but they should be. And if you look at this, the Democrats are running a whole group of candidates that are frightening. The guy in New Jersey who testified for the blind sheikh, who carried out or organized a 1993 bombing and lied for him, lied in order to get him acquitted so that maybe he could carry on his activities to kill more of us. The guy wants to be in the Senate. Mondani, who's they sort of have brought together communists and Islamic extremists, which is an interesting combination because one would think if you're an Islamic extremist, you believe in God. And communism, one of the main things they do, like they try to get rid of parents, is get rid of God. But I guess this kind of terrorism and annihilation of democracy and rights brings together strange bedfellows. And there were several very good analysis has been done about how the Islamic murderers have gotten together with the communist murderers. And that's who these people are. That's who Mondani and Adam Hamaway. Now, beyond that, he also was over in Gaza as a doctor, and claims he never saw any of the terrorists. He never saw the children that were in the hospitals and put there in order to protect against bombing, so that the children. He never saw any evidence of Hamas terrorism, which means maybe he has. He's some kind of a doctor, I guess. I don't know what kind of a doctor he is, but he may be blind, which would be very, very hard for a doctor. So these people are all in favor of open borders, legalizing mutilation of children. This is the Democrat Party of 2026. As Leo Leibowitz points out, keen on socialism, really communism, and Muslims adhering to Sharia law. What do they have in common? Hating Jews. Demonic candidates like Hamaway, who testified on behalf of Omar Abdel Rahman. That's how you get guys like Graham Plattner, who seems to have never met a Nazi he didn't wish to emulate, or creeps like Zohran Mandami, who kicked off his public career by rapping lovingly about terrorists. And now we can add Hamaway. And don't forget Madame Chevalier, who's running against Adriano Espaillat in New York. who says you can't use against her. You can't use against her all of the things that she has said in the past because she's not saying it right now. I mean, that's really this is she has within the last 3 years taken the following position. The United States really shouldn't have a border. It should be part of the whole world. We should abandon the bastard police. We should use the American flag to wipe our dirty hands. She insisted Israel shouldn't exist. She curses black men and Arab men who marry ugly white women. But she hasn't said it now. So therefore, it can't be held against her. She won't say it was wrong. She won't explain that she's changed her mind. And this is a new standard of how you change. You know, you don't change your position. You just don't repeat it right now. Mandami's wife, very similarly, Rama Duwaji, has texted all throughout her meaningless life horrible things, supporting terrorists, hating white people and Americans. But it's all okay because she's a private person and she's Mandami's love of his life. I mean, who really gives a shit if she's the love of his life, if these are the views that she has? So this is what we're facing. And a number of people are now very, very upset that Mandani has said nothing about the horrible anti-Semitic attack that took place 4 days ago, by a deranged anti-Semitic woman on the New York City subway who started yelling and screaming, Jews are eating kids, and then beat the living daylights out of a young Orthodox Jewish girl. And the mayor has made no statement about it. Of course, he didn't march in the Israeli parade either, or go to the installation of the new Archbishop in New York, first mayor in anybody's memory not to do either or both of those things, showing respect to the Jewish community and the Catholic community. Of course, we know he hates us. So why, at least I guess he's being honest about it. And his guru, Morris Katz, seems to be one hell of a weirdo. He is the one who tried to intimidate the staffer of Plattner, who came forward with the original information about sexting and tried to get her to lie about it. He was very much featured as the brains behind Mandami's victory. Morris Katz. Now it turns out that he's working for Plattner. At one point, he was involved in putting together a book called Everything You Always Wanted to Know About Puberty and Shouldn't Be Googling for Curious Boys. There's a correspondence indicating that he was going to contribute to the section known as Your New Penis and the Magic of Masturbation. This is for boys 10 to 12. And then another section introduces the concept of transgender. But not everybody feels at home in their body or identities with the gender they are assigned at birth, he notes. And this is for 10 to 12-year-old boys. This is the mayor's chief political advisor and Plattner's chief political advisor. Well, we already have Mandami, and he's destroying New York. All those people who died from being out in the cold that he wouldn't take off the streets, like even the dumbest mayors in New York City used to do. I mean, that's people who died because they elected this fiend or stupid moron, whatever the hell he is. That's why when you make a serious mistake in voting for public officials, people die. This isn't a joke. So less than 1 in 5 Democrat voters said they are proud to be Americans in a poll that was taken of 1,500 people, part of a poll leading up to the 250th anniversary, to see the level and nature of America's pride in what they've accomplished. I'll repeat that again. Less than 1 in 5 Democratic voters said they are proud to be Americans. Hence, we have candidates who hate America. You wonder, how do they get elected? I mean, I guess that is at least a counter argument to, you don't really have to cheat, because they'll if that ramen woman is really the major nut job on the ticket, I'm surprised that she doesn't beat Bass. I mean, I can't say that Bass is anti-American. I can just say Bass is negligent to the point of criminal negligence. Only 18% of self-described Democrats said they felt proud. Only 18%.
It's Pride Month.
This contrasted strongly with Republican voters, of whom 68% said they were proud and 19% felt they were grateful, which gets you to a total of over 90% of Republicans. So by and large, the major feeling, overwhelming, almost unanimous among Republicans, is pride and gratitude for being an American. And among Democrats, looks like the majority feeling, if not the overwhelming unanimous feeling, is they are not proud of being Americans. Maybe it's because they were educated that way, huh? By the Communist Teachers Union and the infiltration of our universities by the communists. Now, it also breaks down among young people and older people. Over 65, those people proud of being American. This is the Quinnipiac poll. Over 65, it's 91.7 proud of being Americans. Republicans, it's 97 to 2%. I don't know who that 2% are, but I'd be happy to throw them out of the party.
There's a fat finger on the survey.
Pardon me?
Fat finger on the survey. They accidentally clicked.
Yeah. Well, you know, there's about a 2% margin of error. This isn't just bad candidates. It is, in fact, and I will attribute to, I don't think they're bad people. Then I can't be all bad people. We don't have that many bad people. Maybe we do have to attribute a lot of this to being brainwashed, Ted and Stephen. Maybe we do. I should have told us we have Stephen back with us. You heard him give his very excellent opinions during the show. We are going to be back on Monday. We're going to ask you to spend a little time this weekend remembering D-Day. Say a prayer of thanksgiving for what those people did for us and gratitude. Please reaffirm your pride in America to overcome this overwhelming feeling about Democrats that they don't have pride in America or don't feel gratitude toward America. And we are going to go, am I going to go searching around and trying to figure out why anybody in Maine would have even the slightest thought of voting for a Nazi, a woman hater, and a massive weirdo. God, don't we have enough of them in Washington? We got to throw them out of Washington. What the hell are we sending them there? We got to throw Swalwell out. We're going to send people as bad or worse than he is there. It affects all of us, people in Maine, not just you. The New York Knicks are playing tonight, so we'll see if Jalen Brunson can pull it out like he did like he did last night. It's obvious that the president is all excited about it. I do want to point out that I do want to point out that a couple of the other Knicks made massive contributions. You know, the Spurs have a center who is massive superstars. 7'4", Victor Wembanyama, or otherwise known as Wemby, right? He's about as dominant a new player as Chamberlain when he first came along, Abdul-Jabbar. We haven't had a center like this in a long, long time. He can shoot. He can shoot free throws like he's a backcourt man. He's mobile. So the Knicks have a great center too, named Karl Anthony Towns, who they traded for a few years ago. And he's a magnificent player. He's obviously a great defensive player. Wemby shot only 6 of 21 against him. And Towns scored 18 points. And most of Wemby's baskets came from the free throw because it's almost impossible not to foul him. He's so big, he's all over the place. You got to touch him. So I would go watch Dr. Maria, or if you want to watch, the Knicks, tape one or the other. How's that?
Or watch Dr. Maria and then watch the second half.
Yeah, it's only the Knicks don't start playing into the fourth quarter. They were losing by 21 points in that game or something, or 18 points. And then with 2 minutes to go, they were losing by 8, I think. Until Brunson turned it around all in about 30 seconds. Right. So let's pray for the people of Iran and the people of Israel and the people of the Ukraine. Let's pray for us because we've got just an avalanche of these horrible candidates and a party that seems to be warped inside. So please, God, help us through this and show us the way to reigniting our country in the right direction. I think it is, but we got to sustain it and we got to keep growing it so it lasts beyond this great president that we have right now. I'm praying for him. These decisions are not easy, and we all have our opinions on it, and sometimes they agree completely, but in any event, he's the one that has to make the real decisions. And even though sometimes you see mixed signals and whatever, his common sense is something you can rely on. So keep guiding him. He knows you saved him, and he's grateful for it, and we all are. And I'm grateful for your having saved me. So go to church or synagogue, Saturday, Sunday, worship God. And remember, your rights come from God. That's an American concept, an American view, one that all Americans used to share. And we were a lot more moral a country when we did. So we'll see you on Monday. And if anything happens, we'll see you on the weekend. God bless America. It's our purpose to bring to bear the principle of common sense and rational discussion to the issues of our day. America was created at a time of great turmoil, tremendous disagreements, anger, hatred. There was a book written in 1776 that guided much of the discipline of thinking that brought to us the discovery of our freedoms, of our God-given freedoms. It was Thomas Paine's Common Sense, written in 1776, one of the first American bestsellers, in which Thomas Paine explained, by rational principles, the reason why these small colonies felt the necessity to separate from the Kingdom of Great Britain and the King of England. He explained their inherent desire for liberty, for freedom, freedom of religion, freedom of speech, the ability to select the people who govern them. And he explained it in ways that were understandable to all the people, not just the elite. Because the desire for freedom is universal. The desire for freedom adheres in the human mind, and it is part of the human soul. This is exactly the time we should consult our history. Look at what we've done in the past and see if we can't use it to help us now. We understand that our founders created the greatest country in the history of the world, the greatest democracy, the freest country, a country that has taken more people out of poverty than any country ever. All of us are so fortunate to be Americans. But a great deal of the reason for America's constant ability to self-improve is because we're able to reason, we're able to talk, we're able to analyze. We are able to apply our God